Hey, how is it going there? Yeah, my name is Jackson Dionne, guess the Executive Director of the Indigenous Wellness Training Society. This is a podcast episode that we call Sit in the Fire with an Elder. Sit in the Fire means that we have some serious business to discuss, and that was a teaching that this one individual talked to me, and he said, anytime that you have a serious conversation to have, you just pull somebody aside and say, hey, we have to sit in the fire. And like today, for me, it means, okay, let's sit in the fire with people who've been through the fire. And because they went through it, they survived it, and now they have a story. And so that's what we're going to be doing here, is we'll find out what the story is and ask a few questions, and maybe you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dene'Tum. That was the name my grandma used to call me when I was a child. Before residential school people got a hold of me. After they got a hold of me, they changed Dene'Tum into little guy in English, and then they gave me the name Kenneth Patrick. It was only about 2 years ago I got a chance to change my name through the federal government that gave us permission to take our traditional name back. To them, Dene'Tum was a savage name, and they wanted to make us civilized, so they turned all our names into English. And they said they have to kill the Indian in order to become civilized like them. I'm a residential school survivor. I'm an elder. I was an ex-alcoholic, a drug addict, and came from a very violent background. My whole family were deceased from violence and drugs and alcohol. I'm the last one here, standing here, and I'm really thinking about helping people in a recovery center with my sister's son.
Yeah, so you come from a certain community, and I guess you've been in and around. Same with me, in and around the community and everything, and saw quite a few changes here and there. And it's like just listening to some stories, not only our stories, but just almost anyone here who lives here,
Yeah.
just hearing their stories and and it's like a part of life or whatever, so in terms of say chief and council, what do you think about that?
Well, a chief and council are elected in through they work for the government, they don't work for the native people. The native people, they never had chief and council. They were very organized people. They lived in the bush, lived off the land, take what they need, no more than what they need. And they taught their younger ones from generation to generation how to serve in that category. They used plants, roots, leaves, tree bark, everything like that to live off the land without hospitals. They made their own medicine, they made their own food, they harvested their own food. There was no stores whatsoever. It wasn't until they legalized alcohol for the natives to drink when everything went downhill, because the government noticed that how organized the natives were without anybody around, and they wanted to destroy us because we were too powerful people. Now, after all these years, it's multicultural people now, and there's more people, there's a quadruple people more than when we were young living in the bush. There's hardly any hunting, fishing, too much mines, polluting our lakes, rivers, took all our trees, and now all the native people, they depend on stores, and they have no income whatsoever, and then they're just barely getting by. And it's a trauma from residential school now. You see all the natives on the street that never reached out to get help, and they end up on the streets and become drug addicts and alcoholics, and they lose their path of life. from generations past, from their mothers and their grandmothers and their ancestors. Today it could be fixed as if today, if people really do care about your people, instead of families hating families, fighting amongst each other, if we all get along together and love one another like we did years ago, before the foreigners came into this country, we could be a very powerful organization right across Canada if all the natives they get together and love one another instead of hating each other. Stop lateral violence, talking behind each other's backs. Recolonization is a very big step that the native can take in the right direction, that's where they come from.
Yeah, it's like there, lot of changes and everything throughout the thing like that, and so like with the reconciliation, so at one point, like it was pretty fun,
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was fun growing up, especially when you had no hydro. You were sliding down the hill with cardboard, garbage bags, stuff like that. It was fun. Everybody loved each other. They got along together. During the 69 years I've been alive, I saw a lot of changes. It never did get better ever since, like I said, they legalized it for the native to drink in public places. At one time, you were never allowed three natives together, or you would get charged for creating a war party. And just like right today, like the RCMP, they target Indigenous people because of the drinking and drugs and all that's going on the reservation. And you have to be really strong and organized in order to overcome all that. And in order to overcome all that, you have to have somebody that cares for their people, not just care for their family, but everybody. Look at everybody equally. And I'm sure you can overcome all the bad stuff around.
Yeah, like, so, could you describe, like, what family background do you come from? Like, what did they do?
I came from a frog family, Lucilio. My grandmother was Elicho, and my grandpa is Donalcho. And my dad, my mom is Antoinette Patrick, and my dad is J.B. Patrick. And my daddy's dad is Casimir Patrick, and my daddy's mom is Cecile Sagalan. I'm pure Carrier Nation native blood run through me. And Donald Cho is Eli Cho's husband, and after Donald Cho died in 1920, she remarried his half-brother Francis. And we are related all through the Jack family, Veronique, and Jack Rossetti family, and Francisca Antoine and Donna. And we have a very big family, half cousins too, with different grandfathers, same grandmother. And they're all deceased now. I'm the last of the youngest of J.B. and Antoinette Patrick, his son. There were 7 of us. There was 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and I'm the 7th one. After residential school took us, our family broke apart. And then when the hydro and they cut the roads into Tache, Pinche, Yakuche, Takla, all them natives too, they became drug addicts, alcoholics, and them days was fun because they used to travel by horses and sleigh, skadoos and boat by the summertime, fish and hunt, and all that was our way of life. We were all educated, but bushwise, but we were not educated with ABC or 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah, so like if we look at today, like, I mean, a lot of changes, and then there's a disconnection somewhere, I think, between like the people who have the knowledge, like what you mentioned, like that way of life is becoming, and the language and everything becoming more extinct, I think, and it's not being transferred or passed down and stuff like that. So like what happened, do you think?
What happened there was when they introduced the alcohol to the native people, they could not adjust to alcohol. So all our elders, our ancestors, they died from cirrhosis of the liver too quick before they taught their younger ones how to speak Dakel. They never spoke to the Dakel because they were all drinking. And by the time they figured it all out, they were all gone. They all passed away and took it with them. Very few of us left that can speak pure Dakel. I can speak my fluent language, and there's maybe 2 or 3 from Tache that could speak fluent Yekuche. Most of the younger ones that were from the grandparents do understand the Carrier language, but they can't speak it very much. It's the alcohol system and the residential school system that killed our language. But our language is not dead yet, and there are still people trying to learn our language, but they take a lot of shortcuts, and they cut our words out of the dictionary and make it too short. Like years ago, my grandma used to see somebody in town, they used to ask, Hare Dainto, that means, hi, how are you? Today they just ask, Suinto. That's not the correct way of saying it. Suinto means that you're already asking the question. You're answering your own question. Et Dainto means, how are you doing? And then it's up to the opponent to say, Susto, or Klesusto, Kakasi, like he tell you how she feels or he feels. And then your grandmother used to tell them, okay, and then go to this person, they'll fix you up. That's the way the native people used to approach one another. They'd carry conversations with Dakel words, language, that's all. No English.
Yeah, that's so I wonder, I know we got a little bit of a grant here to try to pass on some of the knowledge, and I put a post out there too, and so like my thought is maybe I did a video maybe with the same words, and then I could record you, and but you'll, instead of saying it in English, you'll say it in your own language.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, like long time ago, you used to say, Ata Dene Kanain Baliatistak. I'm going to talk to you about long time ago. Eta our hydroelectricity, nke tuta cha electricity, we never had hydro or running water, and we never had no electricity. And then if you looked across the highway, you see somebody with a lamp on, and then your parents would say, but something you'll go to them, coil oil by nega would say, they ask for coil oil so you can have a light or lights in your house. And long time ago when there was no hydro, they see coil oil or kerosene lamp going on, they knew there was a poker game going on there. Mm. And that's how they read each other in them days.
Yeah, I think, as long as it's not fully extinct, I think there's still a chance,
Oh yes, as long as you can say Hare Suinto, there's still a chance of speaking the Carrier language. As for myself, next year I'm planning on going to University of Victoria to continue on with the Indigenous language revitalization. I've been accepted already, and I speak fluent Carrier, and I'm going to start teaching Carrier on TV or podcasting it with my nephew. And long time ago when Grandma was alive, Elicho, she said, in the morning when you get up to Dionne and get a nadilni, she'd say, get up and bless yourself. Okay, dogan suizi masi dini and ditu inna. Says, bless yourself and thank God that you're alive today, this morning. And she'd say, as hanyat what so na nadilni. She said, bless yourself before you walk out the door. And ke sanain dahte et chat na nadilni and ke dogan suizi masi dini. She used to say, when you come home, bless yourself again and thank the good Lord you made it home that day. And that's the way your grandparents, Elicho, used to raise us like that. And ever since then, I pray and I ask my Creator, God, Jesus, to forgive me and to look after my wife, my daughter, and my grandson. They don't speak any Dakill. I don't teach them Dakill because I don't ever want to be forced my children, my daughter, my grandson, anything that they don't want to do. Not like I was forced to speak English when the residential school took me, forced me to go to school, church, forced me to go to school, forbid me to speak my language. That I never ever did to my wife, my daughter, or my grandson. I let them live their life freely, and I make them make their own choices. If they wanted to learn how to speak Dakill, I would have teaching done. But that was not their in thing. The younger generation, all they do is speak their own language now.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's just like talking like we do. I know we have quite a journey ahead. Like there's a lot. Always any reserve that you go to in Canada, probably there's just like a lot of work to do that needs to be done. And I think yeah. So like looking back in our history, way it was, and then with everything that came and colonization and all that, and drugs and alcohol and residential schools, and just disrupted our way of life because we used to live on the land before. Did everyone speak Dakill?
Just pure Dakill. Everybody spoke Dakill. Nobody spoke hardly any English until residential school kids started coming back. And that's where the English words started coming. And by then the grandparents, the elders were already too drunk to even understand because they'd speak in Dakill and the kids, they won't understand them. And then after that, they all passed away too quick. The alcohol killed them all off really fast, ate up all their intestines, and then they died. Next thing you know, all the younger ones, they want to speak Dakill, but their grandparents are all passed away.
Well, yeah. So like, and somebody said, if you want to take somebody's culture, take away their language.
Yes, that's what they did to us. And a lot of people, they say the carrier language is dying off, but it's pretty hard when you're down. We're down to not very many of us that speak carrier, but it still could come back. But it's today, nowadays, it's the drugs and alcohol that are taking over the whole situation of all the reservations. It's destroying, the drugs and alcohol is destroying our people. And that elected chiefs and council are not doing anything about it. And they started up a security on the reservation, but I see security people driving their brothers home with alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. They're the runners for the drug dealers, these security people. It's just a joke. You have to start a really strong enforcers in order to get over this. And when you start the enforcers, that's when everything's changed. Will change.
So that's what you would change if you were in charge?
If I become a councillor, I would start changing everything, especially the security. I would put somebody in the security that really is a really person that really thinks about his people and loves his people and loves to see his future generation become successful, because we have really lots of smart kids on this reservation. But it's just the drugs that they get entangled up with. And if we can overcome that and start teaching the kids to go out in society and start taking up their schooling and start learning how to live in society on their own instead of being trapped on the reservation. This reservation is just what the government wants, to control your people, to stay on the reservation. Every time you go out in public, you want to run back to the reserve. Why you want to keep coming back to the place where you've been traumatized, where things don't work out for you? How couldn't they come out in society and start making a living that way? I did. I'm 70 years old. I'm going back to school. It took me 54 years to get my grade 12. I got my diploma in fine arts in Frida Diesen and Terrace Cosmo College. I won the Lieutenant Governor Award, and I'm 69 years old, and I feel good because I quit my alcohol in 87 when my last daughter was born, and I've been 2 years drug-free in October. I mean, that's what I want to do for my people, and that's what I wanted my people to see me as a successful Native. I don't want to die with being strung out on drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I want to be pure when I pass away.
Yeah. It's so. Yeah, if you were in charge, and then that's the changes that you would make and stuff like that.
Yes, I would. I would make that changes really big time.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's other people that you could change here, and once every other nation see you change here, they will hire you in order to go there to be successful for their village too.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of them people that are struggling today are really down and out people that are same people as I grew up with, but they're all strung out on drugs because of the traumatism that happened to them. They are too ashamed to reach out and ask for help when there's so much organization out there that could help them. Me, I was ashamed to ask, and I was ashamed to talk about what happened to me in residential school. But today I talk about it. I do workshops. I talk about to everybody. I keep releasing them things that happened to me. I'm getting so used to telling them other kids now, people like that, if somebody does something bad to you, don't be afraid, tell somebody. Because if you don't tell somebody, it's going to be trapped inside you. It's going to eat you alive. Believe me, I tried suicide 2 or 3 times, but it didn't work. And that thing, it's always inside me, but I'm dealing with it today.
Yeah, because I see so much potential. I hear yourself and your brother Wally, and then when you speak, there's like a certain level of wisdom, that's almost inherent or built in, but then I listen to other people, on from our reserve and stuff like that, and they have a lot of wisdom too. Like, it's almost like if you have a big, huge piece of pie, each one has their slice, and they may not know all other slices, but their own slice, they know it pretty good. And then if we could all somehow get on the same page and listen to each other, support each other. If somebody wants to take a lead in something, then I think they need support, or you need support, and I think I bet you it was that way at one time. Was it?
Oh yes, at one time you used to go to your neighbor that you trusted and talk to him. He'll give you the right direction to take in order for you to be successful. But now it's not like that. If you're not a drug addict or alcoholic, you have to be a Christian to live in Fort St. James. You can't be both. You got to be one out of the two. And then if you go to any kind of churches and stuff like that, all they do is pray for the jackpot and bingo and stuff like that. That's not the way to do it. You have to go start a really good recovery center where you care, like I say, care for your people and carry the same feelings for your people. And when you go in the streets down in Rannerhoop, Prince George, you see Nakasley what Dene people there, and they're not doing very well because of their drug activity and their things like that. But if they have a good place to go for a recovery center, guide them through it and see what they like in life, what they want to do in life. Like a lot of them are good business people. They can bring a lot of good business to our people, and they can make other people see them to be successful. I know it'll work. It just takes that person to step out and take a chance on it.
Yeah. So I think we could probably, we'll be able to do this. I don't know what your schedule is like. We do it more often and like do it with other people as well eventually. And I just wonder, like, do you have any like thoughts of like overall?
Well, my thoughts overall is to continue on my education. I really want to finish off my diploma in grade 12 in order to continue on to University of Victoria. But I want to keep doing this podcasting so other people can see it and listen. Maybe it'll catch somebody's eye. But if you get a chance, you see my name being elected for councillors, I'd appreciate it if you vote me in. Because if you do vote me in, I'll do the best I can in order to change my community around here for the good, not for the bad. Because I love my people, and I would really like to see our people have a really good future by the time I pass away. Right now, it doesn't look too good for them, especially the younger generation, the young kids. that have no guidance because their grandparents are drug addicts or alcoholics. They have no guidance in what direction to take, so they become alcoholics themselves. But if they have a good leader, like somebody that cares, and they want to be like that leader, they got a good chance. It's in a matter of just them catching you at that point.
Yeah. Awesome, yeah. So any final thoughts, any closing words?
Well, if my closing words are, you got to look after yourself, because if you don't, nobody will. You got to go do it yourself. Don't expect other people to do it for you, because they won't. They'll run you over before they do anything.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so this is a little snapshot of what this potential is, I think.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of good potential, and if people want to get in contact with us, I'll leave some information in the comment section there and stuff, and they could reach out, email us, or visit our website or whatever.
Well, I wish some of the elders from Tache or Pinche, Yakuche, or Takla, even Saikas or Babin or whoever, if you really want to speak some Dakel and tell some stories in Dakel, how it used to be without any roads into your village, how they used to travel by horses, canoes, dogs, things like that. There was in the winter time they'd go with horses on the ice, and then in the summertime they traveled by boat, camp along the Sturt Lake, and stuff like that. All that stuff is gone, but it could be come back, and that'll be nice if we could do that. Even if you take one of the younger generations out there, they can take their friends out there and they get away from all the drugs and alcohol. That would be great. And I would be glad to show them how to survive out there, just with what you got on.
Awesome, yeah. Thanks for being part of this, and then we'll talk to other people later. That's
okay.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you very much. Masi cho tseo, sil ta ketne no ke si.